This is a view from the balcony camera overlooking the Russian Mission Control Center on the outskirts of Moscow. Those flight controllers, again, in charge of all of the operations concerning the Soyuz vehicle itself. We should be getting shortly the green light from those flight controllers for the crew to gather inside the hatchway between the Rassvet module and the Soyuz MS-26, in which first they will say goodbye to one another. It's not exactly a formal ceremony with any planned remarks that are scheduled, but they will say farewell to one another, and then Pettit, Ovchinin, and Wagner will float inside the Soyuz vehicle. The hatch between Rassvet and Soyuz will be closed first, followed several minutes later by the hatch to the Soyuz itself. The crew then will begin to suit up in their Russian Sokol launch and entry suits and begin to conduct systems checks, leak checks, and communications checks that will lead to the actual undocking of the Soyuz about 3 hours and 35 minutes from now. While we have a few minutes, let me run down for you some of the key events and the times of upcoming activities. The undocking itself, the physical separation between Soyuz and the Rassvet module, is scheduled at 4:57 and 30 seconds p.m. Central Time, 5:57 and 30 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. That will be followed 2.5 minutes later by an initial separation burn by the Soyuz, an 8-second burn of the Soyuz engine that will increase its opening rate from the station by about 0.5 meters per second. A minute and a half after that, there'll be a second separation burn of 15 seconds in duration that will occur at 5:01 and 50 seconds p.m. Central Time. That will be followed about 23 minutes later at or a couple of hours later, in fact, as the Soyuz has moved to a position well away from the International Space Station, some 41 kilometers away from the International Space Station. Sunrise at the landing site in Kazakhstan is scheduled at 7:24 p.m. Central Time, which will be 5:24 a.m. Kazakhstan time on April 20th. Just 3 minutes after that will be the deorbit burn. That will be about a 4-minute, 41-second retrograde maneuver to slow the Soyuz down by 128 meters per second, allowing it to drop out of orbit for its high-speed reentry back into the Earth's atmosphere. The deorbit burn is currently scheduled at 7:27 and 8 seconds p.m. Central Time, 8:27 and 8 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. Again, a 4-minute, 41-second retrograde maneuver. Once the deorbit burn is complete, about 23 minutes after that, there'll be the pyrotechnic separation of the 3 sections of the Soyuz vehicle. The only section that survives the heat of reentry is the descent module, the center section of the Soyuz spacecraft, in which the 3 crew members will be strapped into their seats. Alexei Ovchinin, as the Soyuz commander, will be in the center seat of the Soyuz, flanked to his left by Ivan Wagner as board engineer number 1. Don Pettit will be strapped into the seat to Ovchinin's right as board engineer number 2. Some 3 minutes after the module separation, the Soyuz vehicle and its 3 occupants will begin to reach the upper limits of the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of about 400,000 feet. They will begin to experience the first sensation of Earth's gravity in 220 days as the heat around the Soyuz vehicle builds up to about 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit. Some 2 minutes after entry interface, as it is called, they will see a plasma buildup, a fireball around the spacecraft, if you will. This is normal. That will occur just before 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. That Entry into the plasma regime could result in a blackout of communications, and in fact, the communications between the Soyuz and the Russian flight controllers and the Russian Mission Control Center is expected to be spotty as the Soyuz moves to a distance too far away from communications antennas on the International Space Station to provide meaningful communications. Once they exit that plasma regime, the maximum G loads on the crew of about 4 to 5 Gs will begin to be experienced at about 8:04 p.m. Central Time, 9:04 p.m. Eastern Time. At that point, communication should be restored between the Soyuz and the Antonov fixed-wing aircraft that will be flying a circular racetrack pattern around the vicinity of the landing site in Kazakhstan. A command to open up the parachutes will be sent at an altitude of some 10.7 kilometers, some 34,000 feet in altitude, at 8:06 and 18 seconds p.m. Central Time. The chute deployment sequence will first see a series of drogue chutes deployed that will pull out the main chutes, those familiar orange and white parachutes that will dramatically slow the descent rate for the Soyuz vehicle as it approaches the landing site. Landing is scheduled at 8:20 and 44 seconds p.m. Central Time, 9:20 and 44 seconds p.m. Eastern Time, 56 minutes after sunrise at the landing site. The expected landing coordinates should be around 47 degrees and 20 minutes north latitude and 69 degrees 35 minutes east longitude to bring the mission of Petit, Ovchinin, and Wagner to an end after 220 days, 93.3 million statute miles.